Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's been very interesting today for the summit of 2021. Everyone knows that, for the last 1.5 years, almost 2 years, we have been facing this pandemic. And for tourism industry, this is something that very challenging for us. We never expected it to be this long. For all tourism players, I wish today it could be one of the day that we recap, relook, and rethink about what we're going to do. And we also have to learn and unlearn and relearn about what we have been doing for the last almost 2 years. Tourism industry, as you know, based on the importing of tourists from all over the world. The problem with this is when we stop bringing them in, allowing the tourists to be in, the tourism industry collapses. I want to share with you 3 reasons that why the tourism industry collapsed. One is because of fear. This is very important things that we have to deal with. It's about the fear of unknown, a fear of uncertainty, and a fear of doing nothing, and a fear of doing something. So these things, we have to look into more objective, and we have to find solutions so that everyone will come back to the reality and come back to what we need to do. Not just by looking at theoretical frameworks, but must look at what exactly need to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, during this summit, I would like to share with you my concern, especially on the heritage tourism, which is my specialty. Heritage tourism will not be successful of any means without having a tourist. Last year, I was talking about digital transformations. I was talking about bring the digital tourism into the industry, where the tourism player will still have the chance to make some kind of income rather than facing the lockdown, facing the lack of tourists, facing this pandemic without doing anything. I've been talking to the museum, I've been talking to a lot of galleries, and I've been talking to some of the government players. I was telling them that to face the pandemic, you have to be ready with the digital transformations. We have to exploit, we have to make use of all or anything that we have, especially on the digital platform. Now we're talking about 360s transformation, for example. We should be doing all these 360s shootings and selling the pictures, selling the videos, selling the online experience to those people around the world who actually still, even though we are around the world are facing the same pandemic, but still some of them, have a lot of time where they will subscribe. At least we can make some money. For those who are in the inbound and outbound, of course, we cannot bring in tourists, or even we cannot go out from the country to serve the tourists. However, there are still portions of income could be used, could be developed, could be bring in with online existence of tourism in the digital transformations. This is what I call it digital tourism. However, after 1 year, it's a little bit too late for us to do the transformations. Now we have to come back to the drawing board, what we need to do. If we look at early 2020, the pandemic has been well managed by the country top people. We have brought down the numbers of infected, right, to less than 100. Now we're talking about thousands, beyond 10,000, 15,000, almost 20,000. It's just a normal for us. So when we look at these issues now, the key things that when we compare these two things, at the beginning of the pandemic, we have the fear. But during that time, we managed the fear well, and we brought down the numbers of cases to almost below 100. But when the lockdown finished, we have some kind of greediness to go back to the normal life as soon as possible. And we start to bring everyone again into the system of not realizing that the pandemic will be far over from that time. And this is a problem that we feed our interest and eagerness to be normal, that make us into another wave of problems. And this is where, you know, we call it the cycle of greed and fear. The greed and fear cannot be solved by putting the greed and fear again. So this is a little bit theoretical. But what I want to share with you today is this. We have to know what we are fear of. At the beginning of the pandemic, we fear that we could not sustain for the next 1 or 2 years. But now, we have been sustaining. Of course, it's in very difficult situations, but we have been sustaining of facing the economic issues, of facing where we don't know how to handle what will happen in the future, and we actually managed to survive to today. However, our fear did not go. Our fear is still there. We fear that we ask questions when we're going to be normal again. Let me tell you this. We have to eliminate the idea of when we're going to be normal again, because it will not be normal again. For the last almost 2 years, the tourists have been facing different normalities. They have managed to cope with the abnormalities. So they have a different experience. So now, what we need to do is that to relook at the fear. What we are fear at. I want to give you an example. 99.9% people survive from the pandemics. Means that those who are infected by the virus, so-called the virus, they are cured by itself without medications. And even though they go to the quarantine center, right, no medications has been doing at the stage 1, 2, 3. 81% or more than 80% survive and they come back and they're facing their normal life. But when it comes to the problems of we bring another fear in, we bring another issues in. For example, that if you don't do this, then we cannot go to normals. Then people start being confusing. Tourists start being confusing. They know with a certain alternative medication, with certain alternative ways of managing this pandemic, there are hopes for that. But when we lump together one hope into one solutions, and one solution fit all, then it becomes a blunder to us. So tourism player need to look at this in a bigger picture. We should not be depending on one medication fit all. You know, the idea of one medication fit all, one university fit all, one solution fit all is actually a very old idea of people who are actually not looking at alternative solutions. We have to be pragmatic. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to be pragmatic. We have to analyze. We have to review the situations. We have to be a little bit brave and have some courage to look at solutions, look at options. In a business, as a businessman, you know that we need options. We can't be telling people that there's only one option in life. There's only one option in business. We need to look at how many options do we have. The second point I want to say is this. With all these problems, with one solution that been subscribed to us and then been told to us, still, you know, we survive. These are key issues. We need to survive. If we have this courage to survive, then we allow our mind to open up. I believe that, you know, we will find the solutions. Secondly, we should try. We should try with the options that we have, you know. We cannot be stuck with, oh, there's only one option that we have. It cannot be that way. It never been taught, it never been told in a business sense that, you know, all of us are businessmen, all our tourism player. We have been facing this pandemic many times, you know. We survive, we come back. But these times, you know, we somehow or rather stuck in one solution fit all. These are key issues that I want to share with you, especially on the tourism, that we need to look at what are the options that we have. I've given the options. One of the solution is that to transform to digital, fully digital tourism. Of course, this will not be totally valid theories, because tourism need human touch. Tourism is about human being who actually enjoy traveling. It's not, I don't think that what do you call it, online tourism or maybe digital tourism can fulfill all the needs. However, there is needs, People play video games. People play a lot of other things. There is a need for some kind of information, some kind of enjoyment, some kind of filling the time that people will pay for it. So we have to have that option in our hand and look at how we are going to achieve and how going to deliver these options to the one who going to pay. If you look at the industry, the video game industry, if you look at the book industry, I've been also in the book industry. During this pandemic, since we can't really sell books as what we have done before, we start going online. We start doing, public talk online. We start doing Zoom. We start doing online classes. And from these online classes, then we bring, they become a funnel so that people still will buy our books. This is one option that I've been successfully maneuver, not to say maneuver, maybe taking opportunities of during this pandemic, where I know that we start with difficulty to sell books as what we have done before, but at least when we look at the digital transformation, we understand the platforms, then we bring in together the StreamYard, the Google Meet, the Zoom, and people then getting some information from us, and they start buying our books, physical books. Of course, you will argue that how to solve the problem of people want to go and want to come to our countries. I can tell you this. First and foremost is we have to eliminate the idea of unknown fear. This pandemic is not like those 1800 pandemics where there's no cure for polio. There's no almost cure for Spanish flu. But this pandemic, there is cure. There is natural cure. There is an option that we have to go and find it. There is things that we could offer. For example, you want to go to hotels, we give you kits of supplements, and at least to minimize your worry where you're gonna get infected. We have standard operating procedures. We have something that assure people that nothing much can be done. The pandemic is real. I'm not denying, people die because of the pandemic. But based on the statistics, there are a lot more people die of road accidents than this pandemic. So we have to eliminate this fear of unknown, We have to bring back the realities in that, yes, there is a pandemic. Yes, we have to face it. What are the options that we have? We cannot go to one solution, one options, one medication fit all. I think that is the main issues in tourism industry. We need to solve, we need to talk, we need to discuss. Of course, this is not consultants see that I'm trying to share with you that, you have to take it or leave it. But the purpose of this summit is to let us open our mind again, let us look at options that we have. The next thing I want to share with you is this. We are facing people who are not getting salaries, We are facing people who are really in need to survive in these economic problems. We are having people who actually phobia, who actually facing so much troubles. And I think for the last 1 year, these people who managed to cope with it, I think they will need to do things, So for me, the opportunities become more clearer, While we are hoping that we are going to go back to the normal life, which I doubt we're gonna go, because whatever it is, the pandemic is still there, the virus is still there, it will not go away. even though we are moving to endemic situations, I think is far away, because the statistics shows that even though with the kind of one medication fit all that we've been proposing all this while, it doesn't give so much positive impact. You know, a lot of statistics being changed, a lot of presentation of statistics being maneuvered, but the fact is the facts. When people die, when people got issues with their health, when people are worried, they will not go out from their house, you know. You can see the test bed that we have done in Langkawi. Yeah, there are thousands of people, you know, going to Langkawi. There are a lot of people, you know, just suddenly, you know, drop the balls off, forget about everything. We just want to go out, you know. We can't stand anymore in the house, and we go out. But when we go to Langkawi, what Langkawi can offer to them? You know, tourism is not about tourists who come and no products to be offered, you know. What are people in Langkawi are offerings, you know? The business are suffering with all the SOPs. The business also suffering with the limited numbers of tourists who can go into hotels, with restrictions that I think slightly biased to a certain extent, what I call is medical appetite, you know. We already changed our view. We are blaming people. We are not being fair to people. We thought that we are the one who are actually in control. But economy doesn't work in the false belief, or in the false structures that, you know, you have to force people to pay you. You have to force people to buy certain things, you know. It's gonna be for a while, you know. When people start, you know, to realize things are not correct, things are not in order, you know, they will come back to the equilibriums. Their minds will come back to options, you know. So tourism industry, we don't want to bet on something that we are not sure. We have to bet on something that we know the option is there. Look at the options and take the options. Giving them the options, not to be so worried, because the statistics shows that nothing much to be over panic, nothing much to be too focused on something that we are not really sure. And the worst part is that when we are taking steps to something that we also not sure, how do we know the result if we are taking a solutions that we also not sure about the outcome in the long run? We may survive for this year, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if we are short-sighted, we may hope we want to go normal as soon as possible, but we're taking a long step where we may be normal for 1 or 2 years. But in the long run, we don't have customers to have serve. Why? Because when customer don't trust the system, you know, it's not end here. When the tourists don't trust the system, it will not be ending here. It will take maybe 10, 20 years to recover. And history shows this, ladies and gentlemen. History shows that the economic reset is not happen 1 or 2 years. It happened in the time range of 10 years, you know. So we are just the beginning of, if you're talking about the cycle of 10 years, we are just the beginning. So it's not time to just be short-sighted. We have to take a lot of factors to be in our discussions. We have to look at a lot of data in a wiser manner. We have to look at the facts of advice from experts, advice from those who are have gone through the experience of managing these pandemics. I think a lot of people in industries survived the pandemics of SARS-1, of Ebola, you know, of previous pandemics that I think we got the solution. But then, at that particular time, one thing that I realized is, and I could remember, the one solution fit all was not there. Now, we are facing with the idea of one solution fit all. This is, I couldn't got to think about it wisely. I can't understand why we are subjected to the idea of one solution fit all. We have to expand our readings and our discussions beyond this what do you call it, very rigid framework, one solution fit all. It never will happen in the history, except for something that very short-sighted measures in the history. It happened in a sense that during a very crucial prior to the World War, that a lot of things happened then. But I think we should learn from there, not just by repeating the same mistake. My final point in these presentations, I think it will be very short presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, the tourism players, believe or not, we are not going to be normal again as what we had in the last 2 years. People change, the system change, people how to react change. But however, the appetite of people want to go out to explore is more. This is some kind of an opportunities for us in the future. But at the same time, we have to manage these opportunities in order to benefit us. We should not go into the wrong options, or maybe in the wrong move that we are not taking advantage of this appetite of people who have been 2 years locked down, couldn't go anywhere, Of course, they have the money, but they couldn't spend the money. So how are we going to get into this market, and how we are going to allow this to open up again, and how to bring back the belief that they are safe. They are safe. In order to give them the feeling of safe, we need to give them the idea that, the virus is there. For example, like dengue, like malaria, like HIV, the virus is there. How are we going to manage that? Yeah. So, and of course, not everyone will subject themselves to one type of solutions. People are human beings who always look at options, who look at liberty to make choice. We have to give them the options. The good things about having more options is that we allow people to enjoy their life. Tourism about enjoying. Tourism about enjoyment. If we fix something to customers who are not enjoying our options, they will not have a good experience. When they are not having good experience, do you think they will come back? No way. It's a phobia. They may go now. They may go to the hotel but when you go to the hotel with some kind of insecurity, some kind of something that just satisfy a certain moment, but at the same time they worry, they will not come again. And this is a fact of life in tourism industry. This industry does not work on short terms. And this industry is a long term. It's not easy to bring the industry again as such. We tomorrow, okay, industry is up because everything is secure. No, we tourism player have to submit ourselves to the options given by the authorities. At the same time, we also have to inform the authorities. We have to share our views with authorities. We have to give options to authorities. We have to ask authorities to learn about what options that we have to give them. So in the final presentation of this, I think this is my suggestions to all the tourism industry. As a summary, one, right? We cannot subject to one solution fit all. We have to have a lot more options. 3, we have to bring the courage, right? The belief that this pandemic, right, is not that severe until everyone dies. 99% of people who been affected, infected by this virus, cured by natural cure. We have to look at alternative medications, alternative ways of surviving this. We have to look at early treatment so that people are not bound into the trauma and phobia. So, and they will actually, come back to their own way of thinking, of looking for some kind of enjoyment in tourism industry. And finally, and but not least, we have to open up. We have to talk, by keeping quiet, by not talking to the industry, by not talking to the authority, by subject ourselves to whatever people want to do on us. I think, they also facing problems. They might not have ideas how to solve this problem. They are looking for the ideas. So people in industry should be together, try to put up the options and try to speak up to the authorities how to solve this problem. I know MTC, especially the president, has been doing this very, very well, and have giving advice, have been, throughout the years, putting suggestions, putting proposals, and try. But the key to everything, right? We have to eliminate this unknown fear, and we have to open up to more options. So that is my conclusions for, even though my topics is it's quite short, but even though this topic actually more on the heritage tourism, which which need physical involvement, but I believe all other segment of the tourism industry could be benefit from this idea. I hope this will be a good summit for us this year, and hope to see you next year, and hope for you to stay well, stay safe, and stay happy, and believe that we will come back, to something that we aspire to do. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum. Good evening.